Okay. Alright, I'm going to try this again. This is November 8th, my second try at starting this video. I tried a moment ago, and it ended in disaster because of my cat. So let's try again. I'm now in Judges 14. I'm going to try to get through the rest of the book of Judges today, but actually, honestly, it's unlikely I'll do so. I still have a pretty good amount of material. This book has taken me longer to get through than I thought it would. I thought I'd be able to get this done by the end of October, and here it is already November 8th, so I did not come close to that particular goal. These videos, this is going to be a longer lasting project. I knew this was going to take a while. I knew that doing these videos was going to take a while, but this is going to take even longer to get through than I had originally anticipated, because this is quite a significant time investment. I'm going to do it. I mean, I'm going to do it, but this is quite a significant time investment, these videos. I knew it would be a lot, but even I didn't know even how much it would take. Just sheer time in doing these. So I've been working on this for about 8 months now, and it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. Anyway, I have a cat here, and she's just all over the place. So I had to scrap my previous video because she was getting all over. So she is one of those cats who has to get into everything. I mean, just everything. She has to get into everything. She does not know how not to get into things. She is just always constantly getting into everything. I have a scratchy throat. It's just dry. It's getting to be that cold, dry time of year, so I tend to wake up in the morning with a dry mouth. Okay, Judges 14. Samson went down to Timnah and saw there a young Philistine woman. Now, Samson is going to have women problems all throughout his life. We only have 3 chapters about Samson. Chapter 13 is about his birth, about his parents, really, more than him. So we have Judges 14, 15, and 16, which are our 3 sources of information, our 3 chapters about Samson. So that's not a whole lot of information. But what we do know about him from these chapters that we get is that he had women problems, in particular Philistine women problems. He was highly attracted to Philistine women. Did not apparently want to have anything to do with his own Israelite women, and was highly attracted to Philistine women. So he went down to Timnah and saw there a young Philistine woman. When he returned, he said to his father and mother, "I have seen a Philistine woman in Timnah. Now go get her for me as my wife." See, back in those days, of course, marriages were largely officiated or conducted by the parents of the participants. You would arrange a marriage for your daughter or son with somebody else's offspring. So he is acting within his custom here. But he's not supposed to get a Philistine woman for a wife. His father and mother replied, "Isn't there an acceptable woman among your relatives or among all our people? Must you go to the uncircumcised Philistines to get a wife?" But Samson said to his father, "Get her for me. She's the right one for me, or she is right in my eyes." His parents did not know that this was from the Lord, who was seeking an occasion to confront the Philistines. For at that time they were ruling over Israel. Now, I don't know what exactly it means that it was from the Lord. I don't know. Did the Lord supernaturally, or providentially, I suppose I should say, did the Lord providentially arrange Samson and this woman, who by the way never gets a name, to be in the same place at the same time so that Samson could see her and his lust for her would take over? Did the Lord himself even send Samson a jolt of lust to his body when he saw this woman? I don't know. I don't know what it means when it says that this came from the Lord. It somehow did. God was ultimately responsible for triggering this event because he wanted Samson to begin to wage war against the Philistines, which apparently up to this point in time, Samson had not started doing yet. And that was his mission in life, was to do that, and I guess God is trying to get him started on that. Samson went down to Timnah together with his father and mother, so they're going to make arrangements to offer their son to this girl's father to have a wedding. As they approached the vineyards of Timnah, suddenly a young lion came roaring towards him. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him in power, so that he tore the lion apart with his bare hands, as he might have torn a young goat. I believe from what I've read before that the word for lion here in the Hebrew indicates a young lion. Not a cub, but a young lion. But I don't know exactly. But he told neither his father nor his mother what he had done. So they went down together, but at some point they're not together here for this particular event. He must be off doing something by himself while they're not with him. Then he went down and talked with the woman, and he liked her. Probably before he just saw her and lusted after her. Now he's trying to get to know her, and he likes her. Sometime later, when he went back to marry her, so now they're actually, I guess they made the arrangements. Now they're actually going to have a wedding. He turned aside to look at the lion's carcass. In it was a swarm of bees and some honey. So while this lion is rotting away and emptying out and drying out in the hot sun, it emptied out enough that a swarm of bees had moved in. In it was some honey and a swarm of bees and some honey, which he scooped out with his hands and ate as he went along. As a Nazarite, he's not supposed to... Stop that. As a Nazarite, he's not supposed to touch a dead body. So he's breaking one of his Nazarite vows right here. When he rejoined his parents, he gave them some, and they too ate it. Now this would be an unclean source of food, having come from a carcass. But he did not tell them that he had taken the honey from the lion's carcass. They, of course, don't know where it came from. So they're eating it, not realizing that they should not be eating it. So he's lying to his parents, or lying by omission. He's not telling them the truth. And he's actually causing them to commit a sin by eating food from an unclean source, even though they don't know it. Now his father went down to see the woman. And Samson made a feast there, as was customary for bridegrooms. When he appeared, he was given 30 companions. Apparently Samson didn't have his own friends. So, instead to have buddies at his party, his wedding, his 7-day-long wedding feast, they had to give him people. They had to give him 30 companions because apparently he didn't actually have any friends. Let me tell you a riddle, Samson said to them. If you can give me the answer within the 7 days of this feast, I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 sets of clothes. There'd be one for each guy, obviously. If you can't tell me the answer, you must give me 30 linen garments and 30 sets of clothes. Tell us your riddle, they said. Let's hear it. So they're up for the challenge. They think that this is going to be good. He replied, out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet. For 3 days they could not give the answer. Of course, this means nothing if you don't know about the lion and the honey. The only person that could possibly answer this riddle would be Samson himself, because without the clue of the lion and the honey, it's impossible to know what he's talking about. It's just gibberish, just nonsense. On the 4th day, they said to Samson's wife, now it says down here in the footnotes, some of the manuscripts say the 7th day. These feasts would have been 7 days long. So I don't know if this means the 4th day of the week, which would be our Wednesday, or potentially the 4th day of the feast, which may or may not have been the same day. I don't know. So it could be the 4th day of the week and the 7th day of the feast, or I don't know exactly how it's measured. But they said this, but realizing that they've been had, they realize now they're not going to be able to figure this out. They said to Samson's wife, coax your husband. Now, he wouldn't have actually been officially married to her until the end of the 7-day feast. So it's a little bit presumptuous to call this woman Samson's wife, because she actually won't be his wife until the evening of the 7th day of the feast, when they go into the room together and have sex and consummate their marriage. the 7 days before that is not, they're not married actually during this time. It's not like a wedding reception in our culture today where you have the wedding ceremony first and the officiator, the pastor, reverend, whoever it is that is legally representing the couple says this is Mr. and Mrs. whoever, whatever. And then you have like a reception afterwards in the honeymoon period, and they're married on the, that's not like that. There's a 7-day feast, and they don't actually officially become married until they come together as a couple at the end of the 7th day. So so technically at this point they're not actually married yet. This woman is not technically Samson's wife yet. And she never actually becomes Samson's wife because of the events that break out here. We're taking for granted that she's Samson's wife, but technically, legally, she's not. They said to Samson's wife, "Coax your husband into explaining the riddle for us, or we will burn you and your father's household to death." These are not nice people. Did you invite us here to rob us? Stakes are pretty high for this lady. Then Samson's wife threw herself on him, sobbing, "You hate me! You don't really love me! You've given my people a riddle, but you haven't told me the answer." This is why I don't get married. I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't want to have to deal with behavior like this in a woman. So that's one of the reasons why I chose not to get married early in life. "I haven't even explained it to my father or mother," he replied. "So why should I explain it to you?" Of course, he didn't explain it to them because if he had, they'd be upset with him for giving them food from a carcass that he shouldn't have touched and he shouldn't have given them to eat. So that's why he didn't explain it to them. But if I haven't explained it to them, why should I explain it to you? You're not that important to me, lady. She cried the whole 7 days of the feast. Now, apparently they had come to her at some point during the feast. I don't know if she was crying to him for the whole 7 days before because she wanted to know. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to worry about parsing it through that particularly. But from the moment she starts pestering him, she doesn't stop, basically. So on the 7th day, this is the last day of the feast, he finally told her because she continued to press him. She, in turn, explained the riddle to her people. Before sunset on the 7th day, which means before they're legally married, that would be the moment when they come together and have sex, copulate, consummate their marriage, which means they're officially man and wife. So before that, before they actually come together, before sunset on the 7th day, the men of the town said to him, "What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion?" So they figured it out. But Samson said to them, "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle." So he knows where they got the from. He has to. The only other person who knows is his wife, the woman he's going to marry. And she must have told him, because he sure didn't. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon him in power. He went down to Ashkelon, struck down 30 of their men, stripped them of their belongings, and gave their clothes to those who had explained the riddle. So that's where the clothes came from. Burning with anger, he went up to his father's house. And Samson's wife was given to the friend who had attended him at his wedding. We would call that person the best man today. Excuse me. Later on, at the time of the wheat harvest, Samson took a young goat and went to visit his wife. He said, "I'm going to my wife's room." But her father would not let him go in. Now, you didn't go into a woman's room, a woman's private room, unless you were either her dad or her husband. Okay? In this day and time, males and females do not coexist to that degree, in that level of intimacy and privacy, unless there was a very specific personal relationship there, which Samson doesn't have, at least according to the father of the bride, because he left, he gave her up, as far as the father of the bride is concerned. "I was so sure you thoroughly hated her," he said, "that I gave her to your friend. Isn't her younger sister more attractive? Take her instead." Samson said to them, "This time I have a right to get even with the Philistines. I will really harm them." So they've taken his wife from him. Apparently he was going to go back to get this lady. They had no reason to think that. I can't really fault this guy and his father for assuming that Samson was done with this woman. It sure seems like it at the end of chapter 14. Yeah, but I guess he changed his mind, or maybe he never did intend to give her up. I don't know. But now he's got a right. He's got a reason and a right to kill some Philistines. And that's just going to be so much fun. That's the way to take out your aggression now, isn't it? So he went out and caught 300 foxes, or jackals, or some sort of, scavenging, desert animal, and tied them tail to tail in pairs. He then fastened a torch to every pair of tails. He lit the torches and let the foxes loose in the standing grain of the Philistines. He burned up the shocks in the standing grain, together with the vineyards and the olive groves. When the Philistines asked, "Who did this?" they were told, "Samson, the Timnite's son-in-law," because his wife was given to his friend. So they knew he had done it. Someone must have seen him. It would be kind of hard to do this without being noticed by somebody. This would be quite a sight, lighting hundreds of pairs of foxes or jackals' tails on fire. It would be tough to get away with this without anybody seeing you. So the Philistines went up and burned her and her father to death. So they ended up fulfilling their word for the previous chapter. "We'll burn you and your father's house to death." And they actually end up doing that. Not under the circumstances they originally threatened, but they did end up doing it. So those two people got caught up in the carnage.